Good morning, everyone. Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. It is a no makeup, knee pads in my overalls, busy kind of day because I want to get so much stuff done today. So I made myself a little bit of a list and hopefully I can get to all of these things. I have 10 things that I want to get done today. It's a little bit optimistic, I think, but Jason's going to be back after he takes the girls home from school. Takes the girls to school, and he's going to be here to help me as well. I just kind of have this feeling that the fall is kind of getting away from me. Like I had been waiting for it to cool down, and then it was going to be go time, and I was going to transplant a whole bunch of things and plant a whole bunch of things, and that time is here now, and I just feel like it's going really fast. So today is a definite garden work day, and I'm going to try and get a bunch of stuff done, starting with taking out these purple hyacinth beans right here and adding a little bit of fall decor. So I planted this purple hyacinth bean earlier this season, hoping that it would grow up and over the pergola, but it just didn't perform very well. And I know why. It's because the soil here is absolutely terrible. It's super compacted. I think if I'm going to do this again next year, I'm going to put them in pots instead, and hopefully that will make them a little bit happier. They were so stressed. They had aphids all over them. So I was really happy to get them out and replace them with corn stalks that I got from the pumpkin patch. And I love fall decorating with corn stalks. Once, if you can get them to your house, right? I had to get these in the back of my truck, and I had corn stalk leaves all over the road as I was driving down the road. But once I got them here, they're just the easiest thing to decorate for fall, and I just think it looks so beautiful. So I added 3 of these. I think that they look really good, and they look so much neater than the aphid-infested purple hyacinth beans. So that was great. Then I moved on to my fall containers that I planted in front of the metal workshop. I am absolutely in love with these containers. The coleus and the ipomoea, oh my goodness, that foliage color is just gorgeous. What's not as gorgeous is the mums that faded, and I'm sure these mums I'm replacing are going to fade as well, but that's okay. I just have to enjoy them for what they are. But goodness, the coleus here, I think I'm going to repeat this next year for sure. All right, so my purple hyacinth bean is out and replaced with those corn stalks. And then I also replaced the mums that had faded. So those were 2 relatively easy jobs. Now we're moving on to a little bit harder, which is continuing what Jason and I worked on yesterday, which is the zigzag planter. So we just took out all the purple fountain grass, we cut it back, we divided it, and we transplanted it. Now I'm going to replace that with a new grass called totem pole panicum. These guys right here. So there's still a big, beautiful warm season grass that's going to go in the zigzag planter because I really, really loved that look this past year. But the totem poles are a little bit different. For one thing, they're taller. They're much taller than the purple fountain grass. Purple fountain grass usually gets about 4 to 5 feet tall. These are going to get 72 inches tall, so 6 feet tall, which I think is going to be really neat. But these are a lot more upright and narrow than the purple fountain grass, which I think will give whatever I underplant these a little bit more room to breathe. Last year I had the purple fountain grass and I had the pink cashmere underneath it, and it was really pretty, but by summer, by the time it heated up and the warm season grass started growing a lot, you could barely even see the pink cashmere. So I think this will be, well, I'm going to try it out. I don't know. I really, really like the purple fountain grass, and I might put it back in eventually one year, but I really want to try this totem pole panicum. So Jason is working on taking out a lot of the Super Bina pink cashmere. We are going to save some of them and transplant them. That's on my list as well. But we have so many. I only need to transplant a couple of them. So we're going to take most of them out. While he's doing that, I'm going to be planting the totem pole grasses. So I've never grown these totem pole grasses before, but I'm really excited to try them out. They're supposed to be a lot more upright. They grow straight up as opposed to arching over like the purple fountain grass does. I'm not sure how I'm going to love it. This is kind of a trial to see how it's going to be up here in the zigzag planter. The thing I know for sure is that I really, really love grasses up here in the zigzag planter. I just think it adds a little bit more structure and a little bit more more privacy, which I'm kind of craving right there in that patio area where Jason and I sit and we drink coffee in the morning. So it was really easy to plant these. There was already some spots for it from the purple fountain grass. While I was doing that, Jason was working on taking out the Superbina pink cashmere, and we are going to transplant a couple of them. I'll show you that in a little bit. Now, the totem pole crosses, they kind of look a little raggedy right now, and that is because it's coming to the end of the season. All the foliage is kind of turning brown, and I will be leaving them up for some winter interest, but I am planning to cut them back in late winter, early spring before new growth starts. And then all the new growth should be the silvery blue color, and I think it should be really, really pretty. So don't look at the grasses right now like this is not what they're going to look like. This is just because I wanted to get them in the ground so that they had all winter to root in. So as Jason was taking out the pink cashmere, he was handing me the big ones that had really good root systems. And I took him over here to the orchard garden. And this area in the orchard garden, I'm not totally happy with. And it's because of, I think it's because of this yellow lantana. This is lemon tart lantana with that breath of heaven right next to it. I just don't think that combination worked really well. And the bright yellow was kind of bothering me in this spot. So I knew I wanted to take the lantana out, and I figured I might as well just put the Superbina pink cashmere that I was planning to transplant anyway. I might as well put it right here. Behind it, I have plain the blue salvia, which is a beautiful purple color, and then on that tutor, I have some orange thunbergia. So I thought the purple, the orange, and then the pink of the pink cashmere would be a really pretty combination. And then I could still have that yellow of the breath of heaven shrubs over there on the left. I just really wanted to get this lantana out. So I took the lantana out. They were pretty easy to come out because I had just put them in earlier this season. Lantana for us is a perennial. It will overwinter and it will get huge. And so it's kind of hard to pull out this lantana knowing that it could definitely last. And I could have transplanted it, but I got to be honest, I just really don't like the lemon tart lantana color. It's just a little too bright for me. So what I'm doing right now is I'm transplanting the Superbina pink cashmere. It looks really ratty, but I am not going to be cutting these back because I don't want to stimulate any new growth right before the winter. This is technically not a perennial for me in my zone, but the Superbina has overwintered for me so many times. And what I do is I don't cut it back until late winter, early spring. And then that gives it enough kind of protection from the frost. It gives the roots enough protection. So I'm just going to water this in. I'm going to let it look ratty all winter long, and then I'll cut it back and hopefully it'll grow back and look nice next season. Okay, so Jason is just finishing up taking out the rest of the Superbina pink cashmere. I planted the totem pole panicum. I think it's going to be really pretty. I wanted to plant it in fall because I wanted it to completely root in over the winter, and then in early spring, late winter, early spring, I will cut it back, and then we'll have a bunch of new beautiful green growth, kind of like a steely blue green growth. I think that will be super, super pretty along with the annuals that I'm going to plant underneath it. You can see how much more room there is as compared to the purple fountain grass that we had here. As of right now, I think I'm going to leave the Dichondra Silver Falls. I might change my mind because it's kind of a silvery blue and the grasses are a silvery blue. I just haven't decided yet, basically. So I'm just going to leave it. It'll overwinter for us right there. It'll kind of look a little junky over the winter, but then once spring comes, it'll start growing again and it'll look really pretty again. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it. So I did take about 5 or 6 of the Superbina pink cashmere and I transplanted it over here. And that is because I wanted that yellow lantana gone. I just didn't like it. This is kind of like a vista that I see from where I drink my coffee in the morning on the porch and stuff like that. And I just really didn't like that yellow color right there, especially not next to these kind of yellow chartreuse breath of heaven. I just wasn't really liking it very much. So I figured since that was already hooked up to drip, I might as well transplant the Super Bean of Pink Cashmere there. So that's what I did. I just put it in the same holes and I did not cut it back. You can see I did not cut them back. It's going to look really, really ratty and janky for a while, but I did not want to cut it back right now because I don't want to stimulate any new growth on these plants. I want them to kind of go to sleep all winter long, and then in the spring, early spring, same time I cut back the grasses, I'll cut back these guys, and then hopefully I'll have a bunch of new growth if it takes. If it doesn't take, that's all right. So for my list, the totem pole grasses are planted, the pink cashmere is transplanted, and the yellow lantana is removed. After cleaning up my mess, I went back to my plant stash and started picking out a whole bunch of plants that I wanted to get in the ground today. So first of all, I had some Daisy May Shasta daisies that I put over in the long border. I didn't get that on camera. But then I went to the center island and I put some azaleas. I put some penstemon over here in the orchard garden. And then finally I had some monarda that I wanted to put underneath the black walnut tree right behind me where I'm standing here. So the black walnut tree has been kind of a pain. Everything is just kind of so-so underneath it, and it's because of the chemical jugalone that black walnut secretes. And there are some plants that can handle the jugalone, and the monarda or bee balm is one of them. So I wanted to put them over there. Jason came and helped me dig some holes in this area that is really beautiful soil because we have amended this soil right here with a couple inches of compost. So these pink pearls penstemon went in very, very easy, and I think they're going to be super happy. What's not going to be happy is this bee balm or monarda. We did not amend this soil, and it's very rocky and it has a lot of mulch on it, and we got one of these in, and then finally we just thought, okay, we got to stop. We got to get some more compost delivered and amend this area a little bit more. So you can see in the center island what I'm talking about, amending the soil. This is actually our leach field, so we wanted to make sure we had plenty of compost on top of it. So when we plant, the plants stay in the compost and they don't go down into the leach field at all. We're not planting any big plants, big shrubs or trees over the leach field, but we are going to plant a couple little ones. And right now I'm planting this Perfectamundo double violet azalea. And it's a very, very beautiful azalea. I'll show you a picture in a little bit. But I'm always kind of iffy about azaleas. I know that they do really well in Sacramento, which is only about 20 minutes from me. There are some houses with gorgeous azaleas. I just have to find what the secret is for me and how to amend it, with enough acidity and all that kind of stuff. So I'll work on it. I'll figure it out and I'll keep you all updated. Finally, we went over to the long border right by this beautiful strawberry tree, and I wanted to plant some of these Daisy May Shasta daisies. Shasta daisies are hands down one of my favorite perennials. They're just so beautiful. They love the heat. Yes, you do have to deadhead them for them to keep blooming, but I think that it's worth it because I think it's just such a classic, beautiful flower, and I want all the Shasta daisies in my garden. Okay, so we didn't get everything done, but we got almost everything done. Let me walk you all around and show you what we accomplished off the list today. So underneath the strawberry tree right here on the long border, I wanted to plant these Daisy May Shasta daisies. I thought that they would go really well. I'm a little concerned about how much sun they'll get. I have my other Shasta daisies in full sun, but sometimes they scorch. So I wanted to try them out right against this north-facing front fence right here and see how they did. We did end up having to amend the soil with some planting mix because the soil is super rocky. Like, look at all the rocks. right there. So we ended up just digging our holes, putting some starter fertilizer in, and then adding some planting mix as well. And I think that they'll do really well. This is just the classic Daisy May Shasta daisies. I love them. So that's number 5. Cross that out. We transplanted the pink cashmere. I already showed you all that. We planted the totem pole panicum, not pennisetums, in the Zigzag planter, and then I also pulled the lantana, so I did that. I just wanted to show you all my Traveler's Weeping Redbud. Look at how beautiful that color is. I'm sad because that means the foliage, the leaves are gonna drop pretty soon, but I just think it's so pretty. It's so fall. So then coming over here to the center island, right next to where I just planted my October blooming garden plant that I'm in love with, this lion's tail, I planted 3 azaleas, and these azaleas are called Perfectamundo Double Violet. Look at how pretty that color is. So these are supposed to be really good because they are supposed to bloom like a ton. Basically, they're going to bloom in the spring and then they're going to bloom again in the summer and fall. And I know these plants are good because when I go to the garden center, there's like a whole aisle dedicated to this particular variety. I think there's like 5 or 6 different colors of this Perfectamundo azalea, and they have all of them at the garden center. So you know if they're selling them at your local garden center, you know they're good. And I just think this color is so pretty, and I thought it would be so pretty right next to the orange of the lion's tail. When I planted these, I did amend the soil with some camellia and azalea fertilizer just to make sure that there's plenty of acidity in my soil. Now, azaleas can be kind of tough for us here where I live because we have boron in the water, so that does make it a little tough, but just as long as I keep fertilizing them, I think that they should be okay. So I'm excited to see how they do. This is another plant that I'm kind of pushing with the sun requirements. They say that a little bit of afternoon shade is good for azaleas in our area, but I'm going to try these in full sun and see how they do. So planting azaleas, done. Then headed over here to the orchard garden. You can't really tell because the ones that I planted earlier this year aren't blooming, but I have 3 of the pink pearls penstemon right there. And they've just been kind of settling in, and I'm hoping that I'm going to have a really beautiful show next year. I did want to add some more on the other side of my lemon tree. These had some blooms on them from the greenhouse, but you can see the color. They're absolutely beautiful over there too. And I wanted to plant a couple more, like I said, on the other side of this lemon tree, just to kind of bring the pink look kind of all around. So I planted 5 over here, and then I have 3 more over there. They're going to get about 20 inches tall, 20 inches wide, so I think that'll be a really pretty spring show. Then over here, Jason is watering in one of the leading lady amethyst monarda. I had planned to plant these over here because this is my neighbor's black walnut tree that obviously is very much encroaching on my yard. And underneath the black walnut tree, we've been having a lot of trouble with planting things. But bee balm, or monarda, is supposed to be a plant that can handle the juglone, which is the chemical that the black walnut secretes. So this is the one that I had, leading lady amethyst. I thought it would be really, really pretty. It gets about 20 inches wide and about 14 inches tall. The problem is the soil is terrible here. Absolutely terrible, terrible, terrible here. So we ended up planting one, and then we decided to stop because we know we need to amend the soil. So I have 2 more that's going to go here in this area, along with the Russian sage, along with the daylilies, along with the pink crystal grass and the coneflower. Those are all plants that are supposed to do okay underneath black walnut trees. So this didn't quite get done. This was a third of the way done, we'll say. Then the only thing on my list that I did not get done today is I wanted to transplant this Niagara Falls panicum right here. I wanted to move it over to where my other Niagara Falls are, and then I have 1 more that I'm going to plant. We just didn't get to it today. We're kind of out of time. We got to do a bunch of stuff before it's time to go pick the girls up from school. But I have to say, I got most of the stuff on my list done. So penstemon done. plant Monarda under black walnut, kind of done, and then plant Niagara Falls and transplant the other one, kind of done. So I'll say I got 8 out of 10 things done, which I think is a pretty good day. I am such a list maker. I get so much more stuff done if I make a list, even if it's something simple as like drink my coffee, get dressed. It kind of gets me on a roll and gets me moving. So when I know I have a lot of stuff to do and it's a work day, I like to make lists because then I just feel like I get a lot of stuff done. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.